This is episode 5 of the Latter-day Saint Geeks podcast. I'm Spencer, and in this episode, Michael and Rob discuss their favorite and least favorite characters in the Chrono Cross series.
Hey everyone, for today's podcast, we have Rob and myself, Michael. Today we're going to be talking about Chrono Cross again. But before we get into that, what?
Oh, I just said awesome.
But before we do that, we're going to share something we want that we liked this week. Rob, would you like to go first?
I got back into strong bad emails this week a little bit. It was my blog post this past Monday, and I just grew up on strong bad emails. There's this website for anybody who doesn't know. It's called homestarrunner.com. It kind of bursted out onto the internet in the early 2000s. It's just like this site with a bunch of webtoons and original characters, and I highly recommend it if you just are looking to be entertained by some zany nonsense. It's high quality content.
All right. For me, I've been recently reading this webtoons novel called Omniscient Reader, and it's really fun. There's like 100 and almost 200 chapters out right now, and it's about this character that has read this web series online for many years, and what happens is the story ends, and for months and years he's been the only one reading the blog or the chapter stories, and the last chapter he's given a gift of knowledge, and then what happens is everyone in the world enters into that world that he's been reading. And his ability is he has the knowledge because he's read all the chapters of Omniscient Reader. So he
Uh-huh.
knows what's happening. He knows what dangers is about to come about. And so he tries to prepare himself not for the current scenario that they're in, but for the future ones, trying to make sure that the world is saved. So
Uh-huh. I love that. You never know what's gonna happen,
mhm.
That that late night reading by the lamp of your side table could end up saving the world. So,
Exactly. And it's a promo for reading books, so I'm always down for that.
yes. Yes. There
All
is
right.
always, yes. I'm all for any justification to read more novels.
So for today's topic, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about Chrono Cross, and we're going to talk about our favorite characters.
Yes.
Rob, would you like to go first and describe maybe one or two of your favorite characters?
Okay, how about I tell you one of my favorite characters and one of my least favorite
You
characters?
know what? I like that. I hope your least favorite's my favorite.
I think we've talked about this before. Okay, I'm just gonna start with one of my least favorite. And it's funny because her face is like on the the cover art for the game pretty much whenever you see it. Her name is Kid. She's this girl with like a Cockney accent, and she carries a dagger around, and her like big signature thing is she's a thief, and like she's one of like this gang called the Radical Dreamers. And anyways, she kind of like barges in and demands to be a part of your team, but in the game you get to choose not to allow her to join. And like when I realized that like I just don't want her to join, I kept telling her no and no, and like basically you can prevent her from ever joining. But she still sort of follows you around because the plot sort of revolves around her a little bit. But Yeah, she's one of my least favorite characters. Honestly, like having her in the group is good because she's one of the few characters that can steal. Um, but yeah, I think it's fun to just exclude Kid on purpose. It's interesting. It can be fun to like, you know, craft your gameplay in different ways. So she's one of my least favorites. One of my most favorites, I will say Fargo. He's a sea captain, depending on what dimension you are talking about. He like runs a pirate ship, and he was like the only other character I think that has the ability to steal or pilfer in the middle of battle. So Fargo is one of my favorites. He's also like he's got good stats. I love his backstory. I love the contrast between like his personality in another world and his personality in the home world. In the home world, he actually basically has turned his pirate ship into a casino and um like tourist trap, and he basically just like swindles people out of their money and doesn't really do any good for the world. And oddly, in another world, he's this pirate, he's this ship's captain, and you can recruit him in another world. And when his personality when he meets himself, like the pirate version of Fargo like tells off the swindling like casino captain one. It's a great scene. So Fargo's a lot of fun.
So for me, my least favorite is Nikki
Nikki, okay.
because like oh, when I first played it, he was one of the two characters that came with Surge in his dream.
Oh yeah.
And I always just thought he was super annoying because he's
Uh,
like this guitarist and this amazing singer apparently that like everyone wants to be around him, but everyone in his like party just ignores him. So like I low key wonder like if he's just hyped up and everyone in
yeah.
his party is like, he's not that good of a player. There's a reason why he uses his weapon is his guitar because that's when he sounds the best, when he's
Love it.
And then my favorite character is Harley.
Okay. Nice.
Because like I thought she was like just this one person that just knew everything. Every time she entered in the game, she demanded respect. She brought a presence with her that like all eyes were on her. And you didn't
Mm.
know why until the third act.
Yes.
And when that happened, I was so devastated because I was like, I like Harley. She's just this, literally, she's just a clown.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, she's a clown. She's
Yeah.
Harley, from
Hmm.
emulates Joker's Harley, I guess. I'm not sure if that correlates well in the timeline, um, but she just was so amazing to have in the party, and then she left, and then stuff happened to her at the end, and you had to face her, and that was
Yeah.
devastating for me.
Yes. Harley is a very interesting character. Very, very interesting.
Especially
Um,
since she tried to prevent it. She was telling Serge,
yeah,
"Oh, you shouldn't do this,"
right.
and then Serge goes and does it.
Right. So should we just spoil a little bit of like who Harley is?
Yeah.
Because yeah, basically the whole reason there's two dimensions in the game is because there's this huge conflict between this supercomputer that's like far from the future and these dragon gods that are like far from the past. And so like the supercomputer somehow splits off and like imprisons the dragon gods, and um Surge's quest ends up being destroying the supercomputer. And when he does that, the dragon gods like escape from their prison and like join back together. And then when that happens, you discover that Harley is actually a member of this team of dragon gods, and that the big character Lynx that she's been following around is actually this avatar for the supercomputer. So anyways, it's like this, it's I love it because it's one of those totally convoluted JRPG storylines where you're just like, what the heck is going on right
Mhm.
now? Like, I have no idea what any of this means.
I remember I
But
had
like,
to send you a
yeah.
message and be like, is Harley just a dragon god? Question
Yeah.
mark. And you're like, yep. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I'm sad.
It's like I wanted her to stay in my party, dang it.
And then like another key point is like throughout the game, just to let the audience know, the seven dragons, or is it six?
It's
Six
seven with
dragons.
Harley. Well,
Yeah,
there's
seven with
six.
Harley, but there's
Yeah,
six
seven
dragons
with
you
Harley.
know of at the beginning. And each of them is trying to help you out. And you don't know why they're
Yes.
helping you out.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you thought they were just nice, friendly dragons that lives in this domain and they want to protect the land. But truth be told, they just want to destroy everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like because the ancient race that existed before humans were the reptites, and so the dragons are really like the gods of the reptite civilization. And yeah, and I mean it's like if you've played Chrono Trigger and then you get to that point, you're like, oh yeah, I mean I remember this from Chrono Trigger because the reptites existed in like 120,000 BC or whatever year it is, because you know you travel back and forth in time in Chrono Trigger. And yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing about Harley is it's just like you don't know why she has a French accent, but she has a French accent. You don't know like why she's following Lynx around, and she's kind of like sort of Lynx's ally and assistant, but also kind of is like doing all kinds of stuff without Lynx's approval and kind of like helping Surge. And yeah, but there's another layer, as if it wasn't convoluted and complicated enough, because like there's this ancient princess named Shala, and she is trapped by the time devourer, and she somehow like clones herself, and Kid is one of those clones, and then Harley is actually another one of those clones, but you couldn't tell because of her clown makeup and everything. And so somehow Kid is like her own person, but Harley became a dragon god. I still don't even understand what all that means or where that came from.
It's still a good game to play.
it's it's so good. It's so good, everybody.
So here's a question for you, Rob. Since we're talking
Okay.
about Harley and the and Lynx,
Mhm.
with just one word, one character name, who was in the wrong, Lynx or Harley?
Oh, oh gosh. I mean, Lynx, right? Lynx is like basically a demon, is the way I see it. What do you think?
I don't know. It's such a hard one because like if you had the choice and you follow Lynx, then Harley wouldn't become the dragon god at the end.
Hmm.
But Lynx would have been victorious to get the flame he wanted, the ice flame.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Lynx is more of the evil ones because Harley, like I said earlier, Harley tried to prevent you from doing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's interesting because it's like the first act of the game, like basically you run into Kid, and Kid is like, well, we need to go find the frozen flame. We need to make sure Lynx doesn't get the frozen flame. And so you end up at Viper Manor and you think he has the frozen flame, but it actually turns out to be some other artifact with different abilities. And then when you leave Viper Manor, that's kind of the end of the first act of the game. And then the second act of the game kind of ends when you discover that Lynx was basically the avatar for the supercomputer all along. And then you defeat the supercomputer, and that unleashes the dragon gods. And you've gone on this whole big quest to get a relic from each of the dragon gods that unlocks the way to get in so you can, quest and then defeat the supercomputer. And Harley, let's see, and Harley is sort of with you this whole time, like the whole time that you're defeating all the dragon gods.
Yep. She leaves like when you go to the supercomputer for the last time.
Yeah. Or no, does she leave when because before you can get there, you have to transform back into Surge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think we mentioned that either. There's like
We'll talk
that
about
is
that
like,
different episode.
yeah, that's like a big spoiler that I wouldn't want to give out to people before they've played the game, because that's like what the heck is going on? Like people transforming into other people and switching bodies.
Well, we just have a few minutes left, so how about we give some honorable mentions? Is there any
Honorable
characters?
mentions. I love that. Yeah. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Let's see. I think Lena has to be an honorable mention. Because if you refuse to allow Kid to join your party, near the beginning of the game, you recruit Lena, and she's actually Surge's girlfriend from another dimension, and she's actually a really strong character to have. She's a cutie, so she's a good one. And then if I was going to give another honorable mention,
Can I just
I
say
have
I'm
to say,
so frustrated because I chose Kid to be on my team and I wanted Lena the entire time. I was like, all right, I'm just going to say yes to Kid because she's been nice. So why not, like, why exclude her? And I could
yeah,
bring Lena along. And then I couldn't get her. And I was talking to her. I was like, come on.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's the beauty of New Game Plus, is you can go back and make different choices and recruit different characters. I would say Glenn would be my other honorable mention. A lot of people consider him the best character in the game. He has a really cool dual tech ability with Surge that can be ridiculously strong. And they both, you can equip. He's a sword wielding character, and there's like a point in the game where um, you can obtain these two really powerful swords, and you equip both of them to him, and he's just like gets so overpowered, and it's great. And he's like, I don't know, kind of this like up and coming knight and soldier, and he's got like this legacy to fulfill. With Glenn's backstory is pretty cool, and it ties in with a bunch of other characters like Karsh and Zoa and Riddell and Viper. And so um yeah, Glenn is like, yeah,
Uh,
Glenn and Surge are really good characters to have together in your party.
he's the other character I missed out on but as you play the game, he's introduced a few times and you can
Mhm.
see how good of a character he would be on your team.
Yeah.
And then I forgot how do you recruit him?
Oh, so when Kid is like dying in a sick bed and you have to go get the
That's right.
antidote to save her, if you choose not to go get the antidote, you wind up recruiting Glenn and Matcha. So yeah.
Yeah, I decided to help Kid again. Again, I make two huge
Mhm.
mistakes and they're both involved with Kid. No wonder she's
I
the most
know.
hated character
You
for you.
see why she's my least favorite? It's like I don't like her accent. I don't like how bossy she is. And when you leave her out of your like party and like your decision making, you end up recruiting much better characters.
Uh, for me, I
Yeah.
think my two honorable mentions would be Mojo.
Mojo, nice.
He's just this like scarecrow doll. I don't know how.
Voodoo doll
Voodoo
made of
doll.
straw.
Yeah, made of straw. And you recruit him because your friend in the other timeline is worshiping it, trying to be lazy and not be a fisherman.
Uh-huh.
And then somehow you bring him an item and Mojo comes to life and follows you and joins your party. And here's the first recruitable character I chose to be on the party besides Kid. So I got Kid and then I got Mojo that same
Nice.
time, and he was a great person to have on my team until I got more characters. So
Yes.
I would put him as honorable mention. And then the other one is Fun Guy. He
Nice.
is a character that ate so much mushrooms that he turned into a fungus, and he named himself Fun Guy. And let me tell you, he's not that fun. He's a grouch of a character, even though he has fun in his name. And I
Yes.
love it.
Yeah, like isn't the quote from Fun Guy, he's like, I will follow you to hell and back, so until you like change me back into a man or something. He's
Mhm.
so angry that he turned into a mushroom.
And it's the mushroom you gave him. So you gave him
Yes.
he asked you to give him a special mushroom. You go out and find that special mushroom. You give it to him. He eats it. He turns into a fun guy because
Yeah.
he ate so many mushrooms.
Yeah. I will say though that Fun Guy is like stacked. Like his character design, he's like this lumberjack. He's like half lumberjack, half mushroom. So
He has
I
a
don't know.
mushroom head with a
Yeah.
lumberjack body.
Yeah. It's just I just love it. I um love how zany it is. And there's like so many other just crazy zany characters. Like Mojo and Fun Guy are two really good examples of that. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today's episode. If you like Chrono Cross and if you want us to talk more about it, we will. And if you don't want us to, well, you can skip the future episodes with us talking about Chrono Cross because
Yeah.
more will be coming.
Yeah.
And have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Latter-day Saint Geeks podcast. We're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but we don't represent the church in any official capacity. Remember to subscribe to the podcast. You can see our show notes and blog posts on latterdaysaintgeeks.com, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Latter-day Saint Geeks. Music was provided courtesy of David Schradel.